Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator. And in this video, we're going to talk about that event out there that happened in East Palestine, Ohio. A lot of things have come out in the past week where even before the event, a week before the event, the CDC updated their profile for vinyl chloride days before the train derailment, and it removed a section on how it affects children. That's coincidental timing. Now, the last time the CDC changed a section of text was right here in 2006, 17 years ago. So, and before that, it was in 1987. So, those changes happen. People are just saying interesting timing. So, then there's a video, a video where 20 miles before the derailment, the train appeared to be on fire. So that's interesting too. And then the city of Cincinnati, it closed its water intake at the Greater Cincinnati Water Works, and that is where this water, where toxins maybe are in it, would, they would take that water in for human consumption. And so the city of Cincinnati has, at least temporarily, ended their taking in of that water. So they said they have um, other water sources. Our city administration is prepared for these types of events. That I understand the concerns, and they are confident temporarily shutting off the Ohio River intake is the best move, said City Manager Cheryl Long. There's zero risk that our water reserves contain contaminants from the train derailment site, and tapping these reserves will give us all peace of mind. So, yeah, the city of Cincinnati is not taking chances with the water. Now, Erin Brockovich, she's been out there. She said she's never seen anything like this, and she's definitely everywhere. Well, not everywhere. A lot of places in the news these days, and yeah, she's like, my people are emailing me. I'm like, I wish I had your email, just a form to be like, hey, Erin, more so than the train derailment is every environmental voice since '93 that has refused to get the solutions the world needs implemented, which would have ended our disposable society, which is plastics. And what were these chemicals with all these toxins? What do they do? Oh, that's right, they produce plastics. Now, if we weren't using all this, using hemp, not being disposable, we wouldn't have these chemicals being transported. So, yeah, I would love for Erin Brockovich to put a lot of the blame where it deserves to be put. But right now, the railroad is trying to buy off the East Palestine residents for $1,000 and silence them forever and block all future cancer lawsuits resulting from the vinyl chloride train catastrophe. So for $1,000, the railroad is trying to just tell these people to, we're all good. Just don't even think about it. Do you see Al Gore giving money to these people? Do you see Bill McKibben? Do you see Bobby Kennedy? Do you see the NRDC? Do you see the United Nations and the White House since, 93 saying, hey, hey, we can chip in too because we're responsible for those chemicals being used. No, 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 no. You don't see that. But a week before the event, East Palestine, they launched a My ID emergency surveillance to surveil locals' biometrics data just 1 week before the train derailment. The fire department was just giving them out. So a resident said they were told to sign up for a My ID tracking device from the fire department. They said that the fire department said that it provides an easy method to provide valuable medical information to first responders in the event of an emergency. And the base service will be free to residents of East Palestine as an added service of the fire department. Oh, wow. Um, yeah, 70-year-old wasn't really buying it. I think other people weren't either, calling it nothing short of suspicious. But that's interesting. Then natural news, chlorinated dioxins are everywhere following East Palestine train incident, but toxicologists aren't testing for them. So that's interesting. It's amazing what you don't find when you don't test for it. I remember people, involved in getting to the truth of that 2001 event. And they're like, well, you're not testing for these substances that could have blown buildings apart. Okay, well, it's funny how you don't find them when you're not testing for them. But Natural News says these dioxins are at least a 3-generation, multi-generational toxin that causes cancer. And we're just reading the headlines here. There is no safe level of dioxin exposure, which fact. Pretty much that's pretty much agreed on. And then Natural News did an article about here's why dioxins are the most toxic chemical class known to man. Now remember, Natural News, Mike Adams, along with his buddy over at InfoWars, they will not give you good environmental news to get actual real solutions implemented because they're too busy just saying global warming's not real, man. Oh my God, go with Greta. They're such idiots. But will they expose them? Will they get them to actually get solutions implemented that would end our use of these toxins? No. No, but here's Mike telling you why they are the most toxic chemical class known to man. And Natural News calls it the biggest elephant in the room, is what they call it. They said dioxins are a combustion byproduct that falls squarely in this overlooked category of post-fire chemical testing. The authorities will test for other things, but will rarely address the biggest elephant in the room, dioxins. And it says here that post-structural fire and wildfire settings, especially those where plastics, synthetic materials, electronics, or PVC have burned, extremely hazardous and carcinogenic chemicals are created that are typically overlooked altogether. And it says here one chemical in particular, dioxin, some consider to be one of the most toxic chemicals known to man. So, yeah, dioxins are really nasty stuff, which is why I've tried to get them not being used since November of '93. And, yeah, Joe, he is just ignoring this situation, being criticized for it, even by the mayor of East Palestine. And when Joe is visiting his buddy over there in Ukraine, but ignoring Americans here at home. And Band News, as they call themselves, talks about that digital ID program launched days before the disaster. They had a 9/11 cancer victim lawyer on who warned the East Palestine's residents, stay away, don't believe the EPA. Okay, you have to be warned about that. You can't figure that out for yourself. Well, that's pretty scary. But people are experiencing burning skin, headaches, anger, and uncertainty. Ohioans still suffering after toxic train wreck. And they will probably be suffering for a long time to come. Especially, Aaron Brockovich. This is I've never seen anything like this. And she called out the lack of transparency from Ohio federal officials. Well, how about the lack of transparency from all the environmental voices who have these chemicals still being used unnecessarily? Well, Erin doesn't know that. I wish I could get in touch with her. She has a form on her website. So, one in a gazillion emails. Erin, you could expose the biggest problem here, will not get through to her. But unfortunately, because no one has done anything, this huge event has just happened and people are suffering more than $1,000 worth. I mean, you can even barely get a test run for $1,000 from my understanding, in a medical service these days. So, yeah, the people in East Palestine, they are really just experiencing things that are unnecessary. If any environmental voice had allowed solutions since November of 93, and you don't see any of them stepping up to the plate and telling you that and talking about it. No, no, they never will. But the bottom line is, I mean, train derailments happen. A lot have been happening lately. But if they're not carrying these chemicals and these toxins, these toxic events wouldn't be happening. And these events wouldn't be happening if all of the people listed here and so many more had allowed environmental solutions since November of 93. So stay tuned, people.